Weather is a very critical aspect to games when adding depth to realism. It can dynamically change the environment, affecting visibility, movement, and player strategy. For instance, rain might make roads slippery, affecting vehicle handling in racing games, or heavy fog could obscure vision, adding tension and challenge in survival or horror games. But how do you make a weather cycle? To start, I'm going to create a remote event in the replicated storage and name it weather. Also create a part called weather part that is a square with a particle emitter that emits particles falling downwards. For instance, I have one right over here and it has a particle emitter. Be sure to set the particle emitter's emission direction to bottom and its parent to the replicated storage. Add clouds to the terrain in workspace in atmosphere and lighting. Next, I'm going to make a script in the server script service and name it weather handler. In it, create an array or table of all the weather types you want in the game and the chance of it appearing. For instance, I want rain to have a 1 out of 4 chance of appearing every time I change the weather. Afterwards, create a variable called current weather that will be used to sync the local player and server's weather together and instantiate it to the weather you want it to be when the player joins. Now, declare a variable called weather thread and initialize it to be a coroutine function. In the function, use a while loop and randomly call a weather type from the array we made previously. Make sure to put this in a while loop. Make sure to also use the remote event we made and use the fire all clients method and pass through the randomly selected weather type and set the current weather variable to the next weather. Lastly, make sure to add a task.wait with the random amount of seconds to procedurally generate the weather. Use math.random to get a random amount of seconds that we will wait for the weather to change. I will make it a minute to 2 minutes. Now, be sure to also call the weather thread, otherwise it will not work. To allow the player to actually visualize the weather, make a script in the starter player scripts and name it local handler. Start by instantiating and declaring variables for tween service. Run service. And replicated storage. Make another variable called weather part and set it to nil. And lastly, another variable called current weather. Now let's make an array of functions called weather functions. I'll make 2 different functions since I am only including rain and sun. In the rain function, I will check if the current weather variable is equal to rain, and if it is, I will return the function. This will just pause the function if current weather is equal to rain. Right after, set the current weather variable to rain and tween the clouds cover to 1 and atmosphere density to 0.5. Now let's add a wait and wait however long it takes for the tween to complete. Since I put 5 seconds into tweeninfo.new, it'll take 5 seconds for these tweens to complete. So let's wait 5 seconds. Then clone the weather part in the replicated storage and set it to the weather part variable and make its parent the player's character. For the sun function, check once again if it's the same weather, and if it is, return, and also set current weather to sun. Also check if there's any weather part, and if there is, destroy it, and set the variable to nil. Now tween the clouds and atmosphere to your desired properties. In this case, back to the default properties of your game. Let's use the render step function from the run service and check if there is a weather part, and if there is, set its C-frame to be above the local player's head. Finally, make a function that receives the fire client call and pass through next weather. Now call the corresponding weather function to the next weather variable. For testing purposes, I'm going to go back to the weather handler and actually comment the weather thread out. And add a task.wait, 5 seconds, copy paste the fire all clients, and input rain to see if it works. And let's also test out if sun works as well. Task.wait 7 seconds, and then input sun. Now let's test. After 5 seconds, it should start running. So you can see the clouds are coming in, as well as the atmosphere. And we have the rain. And after 7 seconds, it's sunny again.